Hey guys, this is Rurouni K95 here. Once again, it's time for another manga update time. So, what we have here today for what's in store? Well, last time we already take a look back on these previous manga titles in the letter A category. If you haven't seen it, go check it out at your leisure at this point. Because I'm staying here for the intro for this video, because I wanted to do videos like this for every manga collector hasn't done a video like this as well. Despite that, I have been getting my own little things of that as well, particularly of how this Abel wants to come across, particularly of how I wanted to come for this thing. And I'm just gonna have to make a long video like this particularly, and there's going to be titles on the, particularly in the range of how my manga collection is starting to grow even more and more for this, until I can get a shelf for my manga collection, and I'm going to do some like reorganizing my manga collection at this point. So, let's dive into the titles of the manga. What we got? The first one here I got that I have been reading more recently, and that is Bastard. This is basically the manga title that I just recently wanted to read. I wanted to check it out, though. Despite this one only had like over 27 volumes or something. Yes, this is basically my favorite manga titles from mangaka artist Kazushi Hagiwara, because I really wanted to get into the manga, though. And this manga is highly recommended for mature readers, though. And this is basically like a heavy metal and RPG influenced, how there's some fierce devotion on there, as well as how the inspiration goes, as well as action figures, video games, and a 6-episode OVA. However, the manga has been debuted in 1988 in this particular way. The version of this I have is the old edition from Viz Media on there, because this is the first volume, by the way. Because what can I say? Because I really love this series, because this basically comes across particularly. I wanted to read manga like this. Come to think of it as well. Yeah, because I wanted to read the manga like Bastard as well, because I wanted to get in depth with the series on there. But although there is a anime adaptation which is on Netflix, which is somehow different than the 6-episode OVA itself, though. But I have never seen the Bastard anime series that just came out on Netflix, but I thought the manga's new for me, though, because I just kind of want to get into the manga, though, because at least the manga, if you want to binge on something, if you ever want to read one as well, yeah, because I can't get enough of this as well, particularly of how you can come by for this one as well. And another manga series that I loved particularly, and this is basically becoming my all-time favorite manga titles on here that I just started reading on there, because the 41 final volume just came out, and that is Berserk. By the way, this is actually like my favorite series from Kentaro Miura. Particularly, there's some arcs on here. Most of the chapters on there, particularly of how it just depicts how it goes accordingly of how I wanted to come by for this one. And some of how I got really in-depth to the series on there. And I highly recommend anyone who hasn't read the Berserk manga, because they just finally put out the final volume, what Dark Horse Comics has published more recently, which I think this also concludes the story for the entirety of the final arc of the Berserk manga as well. And yes, because you can't go wrong with good old Berserk from Kentaro Miura, because this is the goat of all dark like horror fantasy manga as well. I mean, this is so tongue-in-cheek, what I could call this particularly, but it has some kick-ass fight action in this. There's some dark parts in it as well. If you ever read the entirety of the volumes of the manga, and yes, another one that's recommended for mature readers also as well, because I'm starting to have a lot of those as well. Yeah, because I wanted to come by for a series like this, because I just barely started on the Berserk manga series though. That's how I wanted to come by for this as well, because I wanted to realize that I wanted to do something that is all new for me, even though I've already done videos like my manga reading logs in the past though. Yeah, because I wanted to come across particularly of how you would notice for that. This explains why, of how you could think for this as well, because I have a word that the final volume of the Berserk manga just came out, which is volume 41, which I think this basically completes the entire series on there. However, volume 40 of the Berserk manga has a colorful illustration page on here, which I didn't know it has it. Like which ones that you have never seen one before. Unlike most manga out there that has that. Yeah. This has gotten to my theory of how this volume basically tells you off where it gets you to have like a little feel for where it's going to lead you to the final volume of this particular series. Ever since, even though Kentaro Miura died on there, yeah, because he's no longer with us as well. Ever since he had to publish the final volume of this particular series on there. Yeah. No matter how dark this chapter goes, this is like the most darkest volume in the chapter. There's on every one of them in general. Yeah. But I could tell you this has a little part of it accordingly. Yeah. In case you wonder why I wanted to come by for a series like this, for a thing as well. And another manga series that I just have here, which this is published under Udon Entertainment, I have right here. And this is actually my first manga from Udon Entertainment, and that is The Big Adventures of Majoko. This is actually from manga artist by Tomi Mizuna, and with the work of Machiko Fuji as well. Because I know this is part of the titles of manga under Udon Entertainment. Well, there's a whole bunch of like other ones from Udon Entertainment as well, because this how I wanted to come across for how I wanted to read this manga though, because I never knew about this. Well, you get the picture though, is that. And this explains why. It's gotten to of how this helps you come whenever you want to be a manga reader, that's why. And this explains to the thing though. And another manga series that I just started reading on here, because I need to get more remaining volumes of them, that I just started reading, and that is Black Butler. This is actually another series from Yen Press on there, and this is done by manga artist Yana Toboso. Yeah, because this basically has a lot of volumes on here. I mean, the series gets better after the first volume in its own certain way of how whenever this goes, whenever of how the series goes with another volume being published. In the past, though, particularly of how I wanted to come across, of how I wanted to start getting into know how I want to learn about something new for the manga as well. However, this manga was originally published in Japan. This explains of how, yeah, I think this was in conjunction with Square Enix on there. And yeah, this was originally published in Japan back in 2007. However, this one also did got an English translated by Yen Press as well. And this has gotten to a point of how you would expect of how they were something new about this, of how I wanted to come across, of how any manga reader should get to know for the series as well. And another manga series that I just finally got there, and I'm going to be talking about these different kinds of like publishings on there, different ones as well in general. And those are the ones I have right there that I had in my manga collection for the most part in this, what I got. And most of those I have are from Shonen Jump on there, including this one that I just found. Most of them I got are from these library book sales, like the ones that were former library copies, and there's one that was originally donated to the library, which is the one thing I have here, and that is Bleach. Yes, I have started reading the Bleach manga back in like 2016 because I wanted to get into the whole range of this. I mean, I have never seen the anime though, but I thought the manga, in my opinion, gets a lot better though, particularly because I never know about this, how it comes to this fresh. Will I want to know for this? Would have to do, particularly, unlike most of them of its kind, particularly of how I wanted to come by for any manga like this, of how you would expect, because I had to do the whole thing for this as well. However, most of them are available in these manga box set editions with all these containing these volumes on there. Yeah, I wanted to expect the thing of how you would come to realize as well. And volume 31, I think this is almost getting closer between before volume 32 to 3 and 4 as well, because I mean, it's been a while since I read the entire volumes of them. When I was at a public library, when I was reading all of those, when I was in the quiet room at the library as well, because I had some more focusing on how I wanted to start getting devoted as a manga reader in order to start to have any things of how I wanted to come by for that as well. In case you're wondering, I had to do this, that's why. And for all these things as well of how I wanted to know for this one as well, this manga only has encapsulated over 70 volumes until its final volume, which is 75, or is it 74? I'm not sure. But yeah, this explains of how as well. I mean, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. What is the final volume of the Bleach manga, because it had like 70 volumes on, or something like that as well. And this explains of how this you have to realize, particularly on here, because this one I have is from the Viz Media ones, because those are translated in English. I do have volume 38 of this particular series on there, And this is not even in English. It's only translated in Taiwanese. Yeah, from a different publisher. Yeah, this is a Taiwanese edition of the original Japanese manga, Bleach, because it's published by what's the manga artist? Chite Kubo. Yeah, this is actually imported from Tong Li Comics, and this was donated to the library, by the way, because despite this series particularly of how I wanted to come by for this, because this is only like $1, because this was donated to the library as well, because it was only for like $1, because I got it was cheap though. And finally, at last, another manga series that I just started reading, despite that this series only lasted about 10 volumes, and that's Buso Renkin. This is another manga title from the creator who worked on Rurouni Kenshin, Nobuhiro Watsuki. Despite that this series focuses on how they were basically of how this character rescued the girl who was a high school student. Well, technically he was basically, it was actually a guy though. He's basically a high school student named Kazuki Muto, who couldn't figure out when he was 4 when he rescued a damsel in distress named Tokiko, which is the girl herself, from those monsters called the Humanolocus, which they were disguising themselves as humans, which they eat humans. They are malevolent creatures of how they want to affect themselves onto people's minds when they're fully grown. And they can annihilate them with a weapon called the Buso Renkin, particularly. Yeah, this is more different from any other manga, how Nobuhiro Watsuki... Just to consider, Nobuhiro Watsuki had to create this notable series after Rurouni Kenshin, which I think... Because despite that, this was originally in English by Shonen Jump Advance series on there. It is all... Yeah, there's an interesting fact. It is a Shonen Jump manga series, but it's under Shonen Jump Advance. This how I wanted to come by for this as well. Yeah, even though I've done videos like this on my previous manga reading log, I had to read this one particularly, because I think I'm starting to get devoted almost exclusively to get the last 9 remaining volumes of this particular manga series on there. Just to consider how I wanted to checking out something new for this accordingly of how I wanted to do this. Yeah, because I had to come by to read manga like this. How I started to... that I've been reading a lot of more manga, which I guess it's in the same way of how I've been reading graphic novel comics that I borrowed from the libraries, which is more different than that as well. Well, not necessarily comics in general. Manga is basically Japanese comics as well. And that's the thing. Yeah, because I have been going into this, because I have been doing a lot of these as well. Because I have been reading manga books likewise, though. Yeah, because I have a lot of these titles in the... How many titles in the letter B category that I picked from my manga collection? Well, that's a good answer for this. Like, 6 titles. Yeah, I picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I picked about only 6 titles on here because I had a feeling like this. Okay, of course, basically of how I can do video like this. Then again, just to consider how I wanted to do this is the whole thing of how how it goes, how things just kept getting better whenever I've been reading a lot of manga. Well, because I have wanted to do this, whether our hobby and passion is as well. Just to considering how I wanted to do something as well. Sometimes it doesn't matter, especially if you have all complete volumes or in these 2-in-1 editions, or if you have all complete volumes set in those box sets as well in general. Just considering how I really should have been known for all this as well, particularly of how I wanted to discuss about how I've been wanting to read a lot of manga, and I could think for this at all sorts as well. Despite though I have been doing a lot of these videos as well, a lot on my manga reading logs, I've been started reading I have picked some of my manga titles that I had in my manga collection for the reading log videos on there every month on every year. That's why. Because I think I started doing my manga reading log since April. That's the whole thing for how I wanted to do this. And this basically I'm starting to, whenever I have newer videos for manga reading logs, I have to do manga by genre now, because I haven't thought of doing it before, because I'm started doing mostly our manga haul videos, and as well as manga unboxing haul from like Right Stuff as well. Whenever I can buy a lot of more manga on Right Stuff as well, for the most part, particularly in order to come across for this. And I could think at all this as how I wanted to come by, or whatever, how it explains whenever I have been acknowledged, despite of how I've been looking back on how I've been doing my manga review on 10 volumes of the Inuyasha manga. That explains of how that got me to become a manga reader. Yeah, I wanted to be a manga reader, though, is that I wanted to start reading some more manga more often, though. Especially whether you haven't own a copy of them, or you could, unless you can buy them anywhere, like locally in general, of how I wanted to do this. Apparently that. Well, I know this got into the thing, though, of how it's beside the point of how, just to considering how I'm figuring out a way of how I'm starting to do more manga reading logs more often, though. Especially of what I'm doing as well, because this explains of how you're wanting to learn over the fact of how it looks like, it turns out that I have been reading so many manga books, a lot more than graphic novels in general, particularly of how much of my reading skills on how I started reading so many manga as well. In general, particularly. Just then again, considering that how I have been wanting to do this, of how you wanted to know, particularly, because I have been reading a lot of more manga, though, and most of the manga books I have, when I did the manga wrap-up videos, like those manga books of what you were reading, I think I haven't done those a while back as well. But, as well as some, just to consider, there's some manga titles for these first impression videos ones, if I can find a manga titles for first impressions pretty soon, which that reminds me, I gotta get back into the first impressions for the manga as well. Whether you can do one as well, like whether it's a single volume manga for like first impressions manga video ones as well. That's the thing though, for the most part as well. So that's going to be it for my manga update for today's video, you guys. Thank you for watching, but before we go, here's what I'm going to say for this one. Well, I had to pick manga titles that are in the letter B category because I only picked 6 titles of them from my manga collection, just to get me how I wanted to considering up how this challenges me of how I'm starting to become a manga reader. That's why. Hope subscribe for content. My Patreon anime links will be in the description down below. If you want to check out my Patreon Anime Planet, the link will be in the description down below, because I have a backlog of manga and anime on my Anime Planet account. And also be sure to smack the like button if you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below on this video as well. And also be sure to smack the like button if you enjoyed this video. And also click on the subscribe button. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, RoniK95. Feel free to join my channel, especially if you're new to my channel as a newcomer, if you're watching this video though as well. And also be sure to smack the notifications bell button. Be sure to get notified also as well for more latest updates, because I have been doing these videos as well. Because I'm starting getting into the manga reading log videos, that's why. As well as first impressions on manga titles as well. Especially the ones I wanted to read, that I plan to read as well. Particularly of how I wanted to do this as well. That's the thing, whenever I can do this as well. And keep it otaku for this manga update video, because I'm going to start getting into going through manga titles by genres now. That's how I'm going to do this as well. This is RoniK95 saying thank you for watching my video, and I'm glad you liked it. I hope you enjoy it. Hope to see you soon for the next video. Hope you have a great Friday, because it is the weekend, by the way. And we're getting closer to Thanksgiving week. That's why. Just to let you know, in case you're wondering, because there's some holiday traditions. That's why. This is RoniK95 signing off. Thank you for watching my video, and I will see you soon for more videos. Take care. Bye.